From NBC4, this is News Conference with Conan Nolan.
You cannot close.
This week on News Conference, he was once the former president of UTLA and was once strongly against charter schools. But now he's planning to open a charter school next fall. We're talking to A.J. Duffy about the Los Angeles Unified School District and charter schools. Plus, the state of California's move on a bill that could create a public safety nightmare. We're talking about Assembly Bill 109 and the early release of inmates. Chief Donald Blevins of the Los Angeles County Probation Department is joining us on this week's edition of News Conference.
And hello, everyone. I'm Robert Kovacik in this week for Conan Nolan. Today, we have former UTLA president and former LAUSD teacher A.J. Duffy here with us to talk about the LAUSD and charter schools. But it may be not what you're expecting. For anybody who has followed A.J. Duffy, or Duffy as his friends call him, this is a man who has had an about face, a change of heart, an epiphany. I don't know what you want to call it, Duffy, but this is a man who I have talked to for years about how against charter schools you were and now how much in favor of them you are.
Well, in favor of Apple Academy Charter School, the school that I will be the executive director of. It's interesting how I got into this. There was never a thought of me being the executive director of Apple Academy or any charter school. If you remember the scandal at Crescendo Charter Schools, where the executive director and the principals actually cracked open the state tests and told the teachers they would have to use those tests to create lessons. The teachers said, no, we're not going to do it. They called me. They asked what to do. I said, join UTLA. They did. And at that point, I represented them. Throughout the waning 3-4 months of my presidency, my job was to make sure that my teachers, all 73 of them at Apple Academy, were protected. Now, as time went on, it seemed clear that we were not going to be able to open up and that Apple Academy would not start right away and Crescendo was going to be shut down. So with the teachers taking the lead, we decided to write a charter and try to open up in September. And at some point, literally, my principal partners, David Cunningham Jr., former city council member, and Caprice Young, looked at me and said, you know, we need somebody to run this. You're going to have to do it because we're not.
Let's go back and explain to people why you were so opposed to charter schools, because as president of the United Teachers of Los Angeles, the group that is part of the second largest school district in the country, you were all about protecting your teachers. Do you no longer feel you're protecting your teachers, or is this a completely different ballgame?
This is a completely different ballgame. There's a couple of things that are important to note. The teachers at Apple Academy Charter School will be unionized teachers. They will belong to UTLA. That's one. If they weren't unionized teachers, then I wouldn't be involved in this.
So this is an exceptional charter school?
Yes, absolutely.
So you are not embracing all charter schools, you're embracing your charter school?
No, I'm embracing Apple Academy Charter Schools, and we hope to grow them. We started out, or Crescendo had 6 campuses. We hope to get 4 to 6 campuses either mid-year or next September, and grow them horizontally, and then look at the possibility of opening middle schools.
Is this the next wave then, Duffy? I mean, you are the man that Mayor Villaraigosa called the roadblock to reform.
Yes, well, the mayor has been wrong in the past. He will be wrong in the future, and he was wrong about me. I brought significant change and reform to LAUSD. I helped bring the pilot schools. I helped create SBAM, the Expanded School-Based Management Model at Woodland Hills Academy, with a UTLA senior staffer and somebody from LAUSD. The 3 of us created the Innovation Division, which brought the mayor's partnership in. So I've been involved in significant reform. Apple Academy is going to lead the way, and yes, it is the wave of the future, because I would look at charter school operators and say to them, the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers, along with all the large state affiliates and locals, are going to start unionizing charter schools. So get on board right now.
And this is one of the reasons why this story has made national headlines. When you consider then that your charter school will have unionized teachers, Does that mean that these teachers are going to be held to a different set of accountability rules than other teachers at other LAUSD schools?
No, they're going to be held to an accountability setup that they're going to help create, along with some of the other people we brought on board. But we're going to do some things very different from other charter schools. For instance, very few, if any, charter school teachers get tenure. Apple Academy is going to create a process to give our teachers tenure. Now, they're going to have to earn it through recertification programs every couple of years, but each time they earn it, they get more tenure. That is unheard of.
And what if they don't earn it? How quickly? I hear you want to get rid of them in days.
If teachers are found to be, after they become permanent, if they are found to be lacking, and after guidance and assistance and help, we find, when I say we, the principal and a certified master or mentor teacher find that the teacher simply should not be in front of a classroom, then yes, we're going to go through a process of firing that teacher. But unlike any other charter school in the country, I want to give our teacher who's being fired the right to a final process, which would be binding arbitration, but it must be expedited. From start to finish, it has to be no more than 20 days. It's got to be a fair and equitable process, but I want those teachers to feel like in the long run, they have rights and they can be protected. One of the things we're trying to do at Apple is extend the life of teachers. If you look at the turnover rate in charter schools of teachers, it's appalling. A good teacher is not just somebody who's good in the classroom and who's qualified and well-trained, but a good teacher is somebody that wants to stay for 30 or 35 years. That longevity is critically important, not just to the teacher and the students, but to help mentor new teachers that come into the process.
To you, this is a dream come true, the man that's going to be running a charter school with its rubber stamp.
Not just that, but this is Albert Shanker 101. Albert Shanker, the former president of AFT.
Yes, of course.
Came up with this idea of charter schools specifically to have teacher-driven schools, and Apple will be a teacher-driven school, taken away from the stifling nature of a central bureaucracy to do the things that we do best, and that's teach children. This is Albert Shanker's dream come true.
When we come back, we want to move on to a different subject. A.J. Duffy was the former head of UTLA, forced out by term limits. Now LAUSD gets ready to begin another school year. Duffy's perspective on what parents can expect and what teachers can expect when we come back. Welcome back. We're talking with A.J. Duffy, the former president of the United Teachers of Los Angeles. Duffy, the school year is upon us here for LAUSD, the nation's second largest school district. When parents send their kids off to school, first thing they can expect this school year that's going to be different, larger classrooms?
Yes, absolutely. Larger
How much
classrooms.
larger?
Could be as many as 4 or 5 students, depending upon how well the counselors at school, the counselors that are left, can do the programming. We're going to see health and human service professionals who, people like psychologists and nurses and psychiatric social workers who are going to have caseloads that are way beyond what they can possibly handle. And, you know, the latest test scores show what I said for 6 years. No matter what you do to teachers, they're going to go into the classroom and they're going to do the best job they possibly can. And the rise in test scores constantly throughout my 6 years and the dropping dropout rates, the increase in graduation rates show that teachers and health and human service professionals that are represented by UTLA are doing a great job.
They are no doubt doing a great job in so many different areas, but with all of the cuts that are constantly happening every year to the education budget pie, are you concerned about morale amongst these teachers?
Yes.
Overworked, overburdened, more kids?
Underappreciated, blamed for the ills of society, and not supported, and increasingly less supported by the system. I'm very concerned, but I know that they're going to go in and do a great job. What my concern is, where's the tipping point? You can't continue to cut education budgets and continue to have growth in education excellence, as we do in LA Unified because of UTLA teachers and good administrators and parents who participate in the education of their students. There is a tipping point someplace.
Well, doesn't it come down to control and where that control is? Who is it going to be in control?
Well, you know, that's the big debate that's going on now, the school board's recent motion.
Break it down for us.
Well, what they said was that they're no longer, through public school choice, going to give charters preference. When they bid for schools, they're going to give teams of in-district people, teachers, administrators, parents, preference, but they're going to mandate a certain kind of contract. What that's going to look like, I don't know. But the big stumbling block was in the last round of public school choice, we had some schools that chose to do something different with the contract, particularly our section, I think, 9, which calls for hours, duties, and work year, which is very strict and rigid.
Sure.
And they wanted something what was called an elect-to-work agreement, and that was a big problem. My position has always been, if you believe in local control of schools, as I do, then when a local school group of teachers, administrators, and parents come up with a plan that's different from our large contract,
right,
let it go. Let them have control of those schools.
I'm going to give you the final word here in a brief word. Duffy, LAUSD this year as opposed to last year, things looking up?
Well, with the budget cuts and what looks to be a dismal, not just national, but state budget, it looks to be, for the next couple of years, a very, very rocky road. I do not envy my president, because I'm still a teacher, Warren Fletcher, and I wish him every bit of support that I can give him and the teachers.
And inevitable,
because it's going to be tough.
We've got to wrap it. Inevitable that teachers' jobs once again are going to be on the line.
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
A.J. Duffy, former head of UTLA, now with a brand new title, one that may be hard for some to believe, but is now head of a charter school. We appreciate you joining us, and we will be right back.
Always.
Always good to
So this is a law that has yet to take effect, but it is already causing a lot of controversy. Here to talk about Assembly Bill 109 and the effects of it is LA County Chief Probation Officer Chief Donald Blevins. Chief, good to have you with us.
Thank you, Robert.
We're going to look at AB 109 and the release of these inmates. First of all, how is it going to work? But most importantly, is it going to work?
Well, in answer to the first question, and this is a shift in how we're doing business in the state of California with regard to the criminal justice system. In the past, this population, as they left state prison, came to local parole agents, and they supervised them in LA County. In fact, they're here today. This is not a new population. Effective October 1, that population is now being shifted to local probation departments. And the population I'm talking about are individuals who are in state prison for what they call the non offenses, non-violent, non-serious, non-sex offender population.
These are not our felons. These are not our most dangerous criminals that we're releasing.
Well,
back.
they are felons and they are criminals, but they aren't in the category of murderers, rapists, armed robbers, things like that.
Check.
It doesn't mean that they don't have a serious background, though. And then essentially this shift means that not only do I, as the probation department, pick up this population, and by year in, and I'm talking about the fiscal year, July 1st, we're going to have 7,000 to 8,000 new offenders in LA on probation, although we currently have 50,000 adults on probation through the local jurisdictions. So this is just a state population that's being shifted to probation. The second part of the law, though, means that as this population commits crimes or new individuals commit these types of crimes, instead of going to state prison, they will be housed in our local county jail. And that's the other concern that's been raised by this law is there the capacity in county jail to house the number of individuals that will be impacting us? Then there's the financial part of this, and I think that's where the Board of Supervisors has had the biggest concern. There's probably not adequate funding in this bill to really do the job the way it's supposed to be done. But the second problem is the funding's only guaranteed through the end of the first fiscal year. There was supposed to be a state constitutional amendment that locked in funding forever, and that hasn't happened yet. So that's